Today, on this Wednesday of Holy Week, the Gospel of St. Matthew tells us this. On the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the disciples approached Jesus and said, "Where do you want us to prepare for you to eat the Passover?" He said, "Go into the city to a certain man and tell him, 'The teacher says, my appointed time draws near. In your house I shall celebrate the Passover with my disciples.'" The disciples then did as Jesus had ordered and prepared the Passover. Tomorrow we begin what we call the Triduum, 3 days in which we celebrate the passion, death, and resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ. Now today, we heard in the Gospel that Jesus and his disciples prepare for their Paschal meal, for the Passover. And Jesus asked if they can celebrate it in this person's home. It's an invitation for us during this time in which we're not able to come into church and gather as a community. It's an invitation for us to think about, to imagine ourselves, the disciples coming to our homes, asking us that Jesus wants to share that Paschal meal in our homes. And just like they did on this day, we ourselves can prepare to share in that meal and to share in what we're going to celebrate in these next 3 days. So the invitation for each one of us is to prepare ourselves spiritually, but it's also, maybe we can do a physical preparation in which we can prepare our homes to encourage our children and our families to celebrate these next 3 days. One way that we can do this is by setting up an altar in our home. Just a small table with a cloth, a white cloth for Thursday, one for Saturday, and if you're able to put on a red cloth for Friday, that'll be great. But have this table, which we'll have as an altar, and each day have a symbol on it that reminds us of what we're celebrating on that day. So for example, Thursday, we can have a bowl of water and a towel or a couple of towels, because on Thursday, when Jesus was with his friends eating what we know as the Last Supper, this Paschal meal, he washed their feet. So then maybe we can have a dinner together as a family, and hopefully you can join us for Mass, which is at 7 on that day, 7 in the evening, through Facebook and YouTube. And after that, you can wash each other's feet. Mom and dad wash the feet of their children, and then let your children wash your feet. Able to. You can put a red cloth on your altar, because that's the color of the day. And on your altar, have a crucifix, which reminds us of what Jesus did for us on Good Friday, where he was crucified on a cross for each one of us, where he tells us how much he loves us. And then on Saturday, for Holy Saturday, during the day, put a white cloth on your altar, and during the day, have just a flower. A flower that will remind us that Jesus is in the tomb. You know, when people die, people take flowers to their gravesites. And then in the evening, at night, after the sun sets, have a candle, a lit candle, a white candle on your altar to remind us that Jesus is risen. Hopefully, you're able to join us as well during these 3 days in our services that we're going to have in church through Facebook and YouTube. As I said, Thursday it's at 7 p.m., Friday at noon in English and 6 in Spanish, and then Saturday we have our celebration of our Easter Vigil at 8 p.m. So today, let us take the time to prepare ourselves in prayer, to just put ourselves on this Holy Week journey with Jesus, just telling Jesus, here I am to walk in your footsteps. To prepare our homes physically, to find a table, to find a